Hello. Good morning. It is Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. I'm Manila Chan. That is Ted Rall. You're tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI Show for short, because we bring you way too much information. We do it live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please be sure to hit the like, follow, the share, the subscribe button, and drop us a poop emoji or some emoji or a hi in the live chat, please, to help us hit the new Rumble metrics. We're so close, and it's just at the start of the month. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help us tremendously so we can stay in the creator program. And Ted, I think there was some confusion. There are viewers that are dropping comments on the videos.
Oh, okay.
That they
which
they
you
think,
can do, but it doesn't.
Which you can do.
Help us.
Yes, we appreciate those dropping comments and videos. Of course, we like seeing comments and people interact. However, if you're trying to help us hit the metrics that Rumble put up for the content creators, it's during the live chat only. So if you can drop us a line, say hello in the chat, that would be a lovely thing, lovely way to help us. Couple of viewer suggestions here, Ted. Sierra Juliet Mike SJM says, I have an idea. Can we create a TMI reading room? Recommend and discuss books. I'm reading She Van Fleet's book now on Maoism, and it's very eye-opening. Would like to chat with others about books.
I like that a lot.
We talked about leaving the live stream going. I don't know how this would work. That's something to ask Robbie. But we thought about leaving after the show ends to just leave the Rumble room going and letting people just talk. But I don't know how that works as far as can we leave the Rumble room open?
You can, but if I go into Poop by Gaming, they'll have to close it because I'll be shutting down this room to go over into the other one.
Right. Well, now, that's if you're doing your own stream that day.
Now the other thing, well, I have to because I used to stream just a couple times a week, and now with the Rumble requirements are because gaming is so weak on Rumble, like I have to do it every day. It's really like a job now. It's crazy. But no, as far as the reading room goes, there's two ways we can do it. One, I will post a link to the Discord server, and that's one place to be able to do it, or the Telegram channel that we have. So either one of those would work. Of the two, the Telegram gets more traction. It just depends on what it is that y'all want to do. If you want, so in the chat, just let me know what it is that y'all want to do, Telegram or Discord, and I can make it work for you.
I favor Telegram, but that's just me. Discord is very much gamer.
Well, Discord also, they'll be requiring you to upload a copy of your photo ID soon. And I will not do that.
I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I'm over there on Telegram.
And maybe also on Pickaxe.
Yeah.
You could probably share like book covers and stuff as a little write-up and see, like, give your book review, whoever it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
the TMI on
yes, the TMI show is a partner over on Pickaxe.
Yeah. Fact, so that would be a great way to support them.
Yeah. Let me go. I will drop the link in the chat here real quick for Telegram and Pickaxe. Y'all just decide what it is that y'all want to do, and whatever y'all decide, because I do believe in democracy. That's what we'll do.
And another viewer comment, George says, Robbie isn't a Nazi.
Why, is he too far right?
Thank you.
And JDC says, I can't believe Ted teased a Senate run so soon after we soft launched his white nationalism. God damn it, dude.
What white nationalism?
There's only room for one white nationalist here, and that's me.
That is correct. Yeah. Even Clovis is a gray nationalist.
Well, Clovis is my campaign manager.
Oh, well, Clovis is a Russian blue. There was some confusion the other day accusing Clovis of being a British short hair. I say no.
That's some bullshit. Well, there's also some people confuse him to be a chartreuse.
Right, so I just dropped a link to Pickaxe over on Rumble and YouTube. For those of you who don't know, that is the new social media platform ran by Jeff Dornick, friend of the show. A really great guy. I'm doing a lot of work for him on the back end, and it just depends on what it is you want to do. I also dropped the Telegram. Of the three, Pickaxe and Telegram are, in my opinion, the best for what is you're talking about doing. Discord, I'm really thinking about just shutting it down. To be totally honest with you, because them requiring an ID later on this,
I'm not doing that.
I refuse to do it.
I'm not giving my ID for a social media platform.
No.
No.
You have
No.
to get your blue check mark on X. You have to do that.
No, you can just pay for it now. Back in the old days on original Twitter, I did do that because it was more innocent times and because I needed to certify that I was a real journalist and I had to show a business card and show where some of my work is published and whatever. So I had to give an ID, a business card, and all this other stuff. And then they went and used that against me, Ted, and shadow banned me.
What does that mean? They used it against you?
What? Original Twitter, they shadow banned me when they decided to team up with Joe Biden, and I was one of the people shadow banned, and I don't think I'm unshadow banned. Well, there was a series of things that happened to my account. Like they sloughed off a bunch of followers, and people were inboxing me and saying that Twitter killed their account and they made a new one, and they made them, they killed their account, so unfollowed everybody and claimed that they were bots. They were not. They were real people. And then later, I just got fully shadow banned and I couldn't share any work. Like there was no reach. There was no reach anymore.
Well, that was true for all political and left-wing stuff. Yeah.
So
one thing I will put out about Pickaxe, if you want to become a verified user, now if you're just a normal person, this doesn't apply to you. But if you want to be verified to get monetized, you do have to upload a picture of your photo ID. That's how Jeff makes sure that you are not a bot. Like, for example, my AI, Fang, she has an account there, and I'm working on automating it so that way she can just post whenever shows go live. The thing is, though, is because she does not have a ID, because AIs cannot get IDs, unlike illegal immigrants, she cannot get verified on Pickaxe. So it's bot discrimination.
So sad.
Yeah,
there's a question for you.
I protest, but last to know.
What color eyes does Clovis have? Says Mr. Lee.
They're golden, but they have like a purple shadow.
Purple. Mm-hmm. Okay. See, there's confusion that he is British and not Russian, but he was banned from the cat shows a few years ago.
All I can say is that his photo has been put into GPT, Claude, and Grok, and it's like, what kind of cat is this? And they all said Russian blue.
So yeah, he's a Russian blue. He looks Russian blue to me.
I mean,
I think his hair would be shorter and he'd be rounder in the face if he was a
Russian
British short hair.
An even more triangular face, and that also have a lighter coat. And a lot of people, like, those are the ones that are typically shown at, like, Westminster and stuff like that.
The show.
Yeah. But
right.
I had to promise not to show him in anything when I got him. But I'm like, he's going to be a pet. I'm not showing him. I'm not gay. I'm not taking him.
Oh, they were asking you were going to put him in shows?
I'm like, I know I look a little gay, but I'm not that gay. I'm not gonna go there. Like, are you kidding?
Manila, when are you gonna start posting on Pickaxe? People are asking.
When I'm like not busy with the newborn and
you weren't posting before you had the newborn. That excuse only lasts for so long.
I was posting before the newborn. That's what. Yeah, newborn.
But you were posting before the newborn.
That's my point.
Okay, this is fucking amazing. Breaking news.
That's my point. Once they're born, it's harder to deal with.
Guys, breaking news. A high-rise office building in Midtown Manhattan, adjacent to Grand Central Terminal, is at risk of collapse today.
What?
Prompting an emergency response throughout Midtown Manhattan. Fire officials received a call right before 8 a.m. local time about falling bricks in the 200 block of East 42nd Street. The building is over 30 stories tall. Officials inspecting the building found that 2 support columns inside the building are buckling and several upper floors
What?
are sagging. Construction workers have been evacuated from the building. Sorry to laugh. And officials cleared 2 adjacent buildings at 225 and 221 East 43rd Street as a precaution, according to the fire officials. No injuries so far. Developing story.
So they're evacuating. Okay, first question that comes to mind is, what kind of offices are housed in this building? Because are there any government offices?
It's
Are
an
there
empty
storage
building right
facilities?
now. Apparently, during COVID, like all of those businesses went under, so they haven't been
And what-
replaced. It was
I
undergoing
wonder what's in
renovation.
there.
A lot of times these happen. These things, building collapses in New York, happen during renovation.
I'd like to know more about this building and who was in there.
I'll bet you anything. They were reconfiguring the building to transition it from commercial to residential, and they took out support structures they weren't supposed to.
Oh no!
I'll bet you
maybe
anything. I'll bet
That-
you.
Ted, that's what
anything.
happens when you start transing things.
And
It's like when the commercial building starts to identify as a residential building. It's like I was always an apartment trapped inside an office building.
That's true. I didn't want these people in and out of me during 9 to 5. I just wanted them all day, all night. I want them to have lives with me. That's what
I
was
will
happening.
bet
The inner
you
thoughts of the
anything
building.
that's what happened, though. Yeah.
people are asking about the updates for the chat metrics for Putinbot and also for TMI. TMI is very close. We are 65 of our 75 required chatters,
Woo!
so we are very, very close.
Thank you, guys.
Putinbot needs some work. I'm about 30 away, so it's just gaming on Rumble is just very, very weak. So
we're gonna
it's a small
raid
market.
to Putinbot today, yeah.
We'll raid over there. And
so my request is, and I know Manila's request is too, please go over to Putinbot. Just hang tight if you're on Rumble. Just go at the end of the show. Just follow the raid and just say hi, and then you can stay or go.
And you can dip. Yeah.
It'll take about 2 minutes to switch over because the transition. Talk about transing from a podcast over to the gaming channel. It just takes a little bit of time because it's just 2 different architectures, but whether it works. But you'll see whenever it goes live, and then just start with
It
poop
helps
emoji.
Robbie a lot.
It does. I'll make some swastikas. I'll start putting swastikas over there for the people who want to do that kind of thing. I'm gonna get banned off of YouTube. I don't care. It'll just be fun. But seriously, I appreciate
I don't know if you saw like online. There's like right wingers selling anti-Mamdani hats that say NYC and the C is the hammer and sickle. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like left wingers want that hat.
Hey, that's cool iconography.
Did y'all see the streamer Sneeko? He was in New York on the 4th of July. He declared the Islamic Republic of New Yorkistan, and they were doing the whole Allahu Akbar battle cry and say how Islam is going to conquer New York and immigration is going to allow them to do it. And he's right.
Well,
it will happen.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk.
We have a story
right.
that's
Demogra-
we have a story tied into that.
Demo-
Save it for the story.
Demographics play into it, Ted. If you import
Save
the
it
third
for
world,
the story.
you get the third world.
We have a DHS story, so let's hop to that. So because we can let Robbie chime in on this.
Deport Sneeko.
I don't even know who.
Who the
I don't
fuck
know
is this? What the fuck is a Sneeko?
He's some Syrian little asshat, and
No
he should be dropped back to Damascus. Special delivery, just as
Wait, is he a right winger or a left winger?
Oh, he's a lefty.
No idea.
Don't
Never
check
heard.
in with me, so you know.
No, the dude's a troll.
All right, I think Robbie was mid-sentence, but I had to drop the jaws on him. All right, so because I'm doing what the EU is doing, Ted. I'm just following in the steps of the EU. So the question is, when does protecting democracy start looking undemocratic? Europe is wrestling with that question. Democracies are built on a simple premise. Citizens should be free to debate, criticize, persuade, and even when governments dislike it, share information. That's why a recent ruling by the Court of Justice in the European Union is raising debate well beyond Europe. Here stateside. The court ruled that individuals, underscore that, individuals in EU member states can face criminal prosecution for publicly reposting content from RT, even if they are not personally affiliated with the network, not making money from the content. The decision stems from EU sanctions imposed after the Russian-Ukraine war, which prohibited the distribution of RT programming throughout the entire union. Now, I was there when all of that was happening with RT, and that was specific at the time. That was specific to the broadcaster not broadcasting. So this is wide ranging to say that individuals can't even speak on RT, like share RT work, like comment on, you can't do anything. Supporters argue the ruling is about national security, because that's what they always say, not censorship. And they contend that RT functions as a communications arm of the Russian government, and that restricting its distribution is a legitimate wartime measure designed to counter foreign intelligence operations. Because you know me, the number one, Russian propagandist here, Russian agent. From that perspective, the issue is not journalism, but information warfare. Critics, however, see a more troubling precedent. They argue that once governments begin criminalizing the sharing of lawful media content, the debate shifts from what is true to who has the authority to decide what citizens are permitted to read, watch, or redistribute. Even if today's restrictions apply to Russian state media, opponents warn that the legal principle could eventually be expanded to other outlets or viewpoints. That raises a larger philosophical question. What makes a democracy, Ted? Is democracy simply the act of holding elections, or does it also require broad protections for the free exchange of ideas and information, even information that governments consider misleading or biased or originating from a geopolitical rival? Europe has traditionally accepted broader limits on speech than the United States, particularly involving hate speech, extremist content, certain forms of disinformation. The United States, by contrast, has generally embraced a much more expansive interpretation of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, arguing that the best response to objectionable speech is more speech rather than government prohibition. I agree with that. The European Union maintains that its restrictions are a targeted response to an ongoing geopolitical conflict. Critics respond that one of democracy's defining tests is whether citizens remain free to decide for themselves what information is worth hearing, even when their governments strongly disagree with it. Now, I hate to sound Elon Musky, but I'm all free speech absolutist. Like I said yesterday, like, you can call me the C word, you can call me whatever, you can share whatever information, you can be Laura Loomer. You could say the things that Laura Loomer says. You can say that, Michelle Obama has a peen. I don't care. Like, you have the right to say it. You certainly have the right to share RT's work. Now, the European Union, well, I guess the UK is not a part of that anymore, but they have similar laws of their own. When did they become like, oh, I was going to say, when were they last so fascist?
That's
we
a
know.
good question. And well, I mean, the point is that, like, it's true that they don't have equivalent to the First Amendment. I want to be clear that the U.S. definitely talks a better game and generally walks a better game, but it's far from perfect, right? I mean, you and I were both, RT was and Sputnik were shut down because by the United States, right? So it's definitely not like government censorship is something that doesn't happen here. I mean, a government entity purchased the Los Angeles Times. That's to say, the LAPD bought the LA Times and fired me because they didn't like my coverage. So, I mean, it's just like not a, it's not perfect, but it's worse in Europe, I think is the best way to put it. And it's, it's the European way. I mean, like in Europe, you're not allowed to display a swastika or indicate that you have any sympathy whatsoever to Nazism or far right political movements. It's banned. Like in France, you can go to prison. So it's like you just don't have complete free speech in those countries.
Yeah, I would also agree with that, Ted, and add that, like many things, that in effect are counter to what's in our Constitution, the US is just better at laundering the dirty work. We're like money laundering, but we're laundering, speech censorship. We're laundering like bribery. There's that's why lobbyists exist, right? It's still fucking bribery. It's just laundered through a different way, but it's still fucking bribery. So our politicians are crooked too. It's just laundered. Otherwise, the Pelosi's wouldn't be, gazillionaires, right? If it wasn't like insider trading and other scummy, crooked things that happen on Capitol Hill. We just launder everything better for the appearance. We keep up the appearances. Manchild, thank you for the donation. Manchild says, Ted, get yourself a proper microphone. He
Well,
does have one, but he stopped
how much
using
was
it.
that donation, man, child? Good
And-
microphones cost hundreds of dollars.
And JDC says, don't worry, Ted. You can cut off your support beam and still be cast as Achilles. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, totally.
That, that's in a reference to Odyssey that's coming
Mhm.
out. And what's their name now? Ellen Page is now Elliot Page.
Mm.
I can appreciate that, though. At least like the ELL has remained,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
even though you chop off the other things.
Well, I mean, if you became a dude, you could just be, instead of Manila, you could just be man.
I'd be Manuel.
Man Chan. I like Man Chan.
I can identify as that if I want, even
I mean,
without
it's harder for Ted. I mean, you can go Theodora.
Tedda.
Dina's not a real thing. Tedla.
Ted, you can make any name you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can make any name you want. Ray in the Rumble chat says, shut down by Joe Biden, Ted. That's true. That's true. And to some limited capacity, Trump, to his credit, is allowing at least some work with RT to happen now.
Yeah, but it should be completely restored.
No, I agree.
Actually, RT honestly should be compensated financially for what happened.
I agree. It's some
we all should be.
Shit,
we should all be brought. We should all have been made whole.
Yes, some class action lawsuit shit happening here. But this is, look, how can they go ahead and say a regular Joe Schmo can't repost Ted?
Good idea. I like to sue. I'm not even kidding. If you're an attorney, if you're a First Amendment attorney and you're watching, call. Either email either Manila or myself. Let's fucking get the gang together. Let's file a fucking First Amendment lawsuit against the U.S. government.
You think we have a class action lawsuit here?
Well, I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, it's absolutely. Well, we absolutely have a class action. Yeah, we have a broad class of plaintiffs. Probably several dozen people were affected here.
Yeah.
And probably scores of people, really. And think about it. It's direct government censorship. I mean, the federal government closed us down.
Yeah, they did not allow us to do that. What happened under Joe Biden, if people don't know, is that under Joe Biden in September of 2024, Joe Biden, by way of edict, really, it's sanctions, basically prohibited American journalists, Ted, myself, a bunch of others, from doing business with RT. We were basically selling our content to RT.
Mm-hmm.
Not technically employees, right? We're selling content. And Joe Biden said it was illegal for us to do business with that. But that's where the fuzzy lines are is
their defense.
What happens when your business is journalism?
Well, their defense would be like it's a tort. It's not a First Amendment case. And it's like, but it's clearly a First Amendment case because the reason RT and Sputnik were targeted, they were two separate entities, was RIA Novosti, right? They were targeted because they were because they were creating content that the U.S. government didn't like. That's all.
Objectionable, yes. And that's perfect. That leads us right into the next.
Yeah,
The
lawyer.
next
I'm not kidding. First Amendment attorney. If you know one or you are one, I am not fucking kidding. Call.
I hadn't really thought about it, but like there's a whole bunch of us.
It's like the right thing to do. They should be held accountable for what they fucking did.
Like they completely upended our lives. Like,
and not to mention,
completely.
If that precedent, we owe it to the journalists of the future that the next government's going to try to do this to.
Yeah.
Like if we had a good solid precedent, it would put an end.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And because look what's happening in France. Look what's happening in Germany. You can't share media content from
ridiculous.
That's based in a country you don't like. But yet you're going to allow Marine Le Pen to run the high court in France.
Nigel Farage has decided to resign as a UK lawmaker and trigger a special election.
He's so bizarre. So look, you can have people like Nigel Farage, and you can have Marine Le Pen running for office, been also rans or has rans or whatever, but you cannot share media content from RT. Just let that sink in. And then here in the States, Joe Biden effectively unemployed dozens and scores of American citizens, made us unemployed, upended our lives. And literally, I was on unemployment because I was like, oh shit.
And more importantly, denied the American citizens the right to information that they would have wanted to access.
Yes. But this is not only a matter of commerce, is what Joe Biden was trying to in his executive order. He was trying to say this is a matter of commerce and blah, blah, blah. And it's illegal to do business with the Russians. You cannot sell them anything. There's sanctions against them. But your sanctions do not usurp or are not superior to my free speech. I would argue that. So, all right, let's go to the next one.
President Trump has arrived in Turkey for this year's NATO summit, where the alliance is doing something that it hasn't often done with so much fanfare, showcasing tens of billions of dollars in new weapons deals before the meeting. For years, Trump argued that EU allies have relied too heavily on the U.S. for their defense and not spending enough money on their own militaries. Now NATO is showing off their weapons to show that they got the message. At a defense industry forum in Ankara, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte unveiled a series of multinational procurement initiatives, including the purchases of U.S.-made surveillance drones, Swedish airborne early warning aircraft, expanded anti-drone programs worth more than $40 billion over the next 5 years, and discussions on joint missile production to replenish stockpiles depleted by the wars in Ukraine and Iran. Meanwhile, God knows how many Europeans live in grinding poverty while all this money is being wasted. In many ways, the summit reflects the Trump effect. Whether allies agree with his rhetoric or not, European defense spending has climbed sharply since Trump started whining that NATO ought to spend more on defense. NATO says European members and Canada have dramatically increased military spending, arguing that the alliance is more capable and less dependent on Washington. One of the summit's biggest stories involves Turkey itself. Trump is reportedly prepared to support bringing Turkey back into the F-35 Lightning issue that is built by Lockheed Martin after Ankara was removed in 2019 over its purchase of Russia's S-400 air defense system. Any agreement would still face legal and congressional hurdles, but it would represent a major improvement in U.S.-Turkish relations. Meanwhile, NATO is expected to reaffirm long-term military support for Ukraine, because that's working out great, while continuing to frame Russia as the alliance's primary security challenge, because it's only a matter of minutes before Putin marches through the streets of Paris, a summit the Kremlin says it will be watching closely. The bigger question is whether today's announcements represent a lasting shift or just NATO's latest effort to convince Trump that they're paying their own bills.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ted. I thought NATO was created to counter the Soviet Union. And I've said this a million times. I'm pretty sure they don't exist anymore, right?
No.
That's what I thought. So now I think it's really the purpose of NATO is you have to have a boogeyman. And that's why you have this group that's a circle jerk that keeps buying arms from each other and then riling each other up about some boogeyman somewhere and buying more arms from each other. And that's the way our kind of capitalism works.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much what NATO's there for. It's really a jobs program, Ted. Don't you see?
Well, it's a grift.
Or that. You can call it, tomato,
Both.
tomato.
Yeah.
It's really tomato. All right. That's what's going on. I saw Trump before we jumped on the live stream. Trump was sitting with Erdogan in I don't know, the presidential palace or something. And Erdogan speaks English. I always find it amusing that because it's a show of like strength, or I don't know what they're trying to flex, but all these world leaders speak English. They choose not to because they don't want to basically appear as kowtowing to the US president, whoever it may be, Trump or not. They all speak English. Once in a while, we hear Macron speaking English. He jokes in English sometimes, but usually everybody else speaks their own language. It's like, Georgia Maloney, I saw you speaking at CPAC. You speak English fine. Just speak English when you're talking to the press. We all know you speak English. You're Italian. You speak English. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. All right, let's get to the next one. Oh, this is Ted's. I know Ted's got some thoughts on this, and Robbie, tangentially related to what Robbie was saying. Can the government knock on your door for criticizing it? A new lawsuit puts the First Amendment to the test. One of the oldest principles in American democracy is also one of the simplest. You're allowed to criticize the government, even harshly. That principle is now at the center of a federal lawsuit after a New York man claimed, and it's not Ted.
No,
Hint.
It's not me.
Not Ted. After, I know
I'm
Ted B.
innocent.
Suey. Ted B. Suey, but this one is not Ted. The principal at the center here is a New York man claiming the U.S. Immigration and ICE retaliated against him for sending an angry email to the agency's former acting director. The plaintiff, David Strever of Rochester, says he wrote an email in January after a controversial ICE operation in Minnesota left 2 civilians dead. In the message, he called then acting ICE director Todd Lyons, quote, a monstrous human being. Oh my, Ted. Monstrous human being. And compared him to Nazi official Reinhard Heydrich. He also wrote, you will never know peace. 5 months later, while Streber was traveling in Finland with his daughter, federal agents arrived at his home and delivered a warning notice to his wife, stating that threatening a federal official is a crime. According to the lawsuit, agents also later attempted to locate him at a New York City hotel after he returned to the U.S. Represented by the Foundation for Individual Rights, Rights and Expression, Strever argues that his email, however inflammatory, was protected political speech under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. His attorneys contend the government's actions were designed to intimidate critics rather than investigate a genuine threat. The Homeland Security Office sees it differently. Officials say ICE had a responsibility to investigate credible threats against its employees, particularly at a time when immigration officers face increasing harassment and violence. The agency has denied that it is attempting to suppress lawful speech. The case ultimately asks a question that reaches beyond immigration politics. Where is the line between criminal threat and protected political rhetoric? American courts have long held that offensive, angry, and even deeply disturbing criticism of public officials is generally protected speech. But, quote, true threats, statements intended to communicate a serious intent to commit violence, are not. Whether Streever's emails crossed that constitutional line is for the courts to decide. The outcome could help define how aggressively the government may respond when political speech becomes heated, and how much room Americans still have to express outrage without fearing a knock at the door. They be showing up to doors, Ted.
Well, so obviously there's a lot of questions here. So there's some legal questions. I would want to read the complete text of the letter that the guy sent to ICE and see if there's nothing specific. He's just ranting and calling the guy names and expressing anger. That's certainly protected speech. If he's like, look, I'm coming to stab you, that's not protected speech. That's a threat. And then the other question would be, if he didn't cross that line into non-protected speech, what is the legal basis for the lawsuit, right? I mean, is it harassment? Is it retaliation? Is it, improper? Is it like an abuse of government functions? Who knows? But the point is, it's going to be hard to win this case. I think it's good that the government's being held accountable because, look, they shouldn't do this unless there's a specific credible threat, in which case it should be referred to the FBI and not investigated by the agency itself. I mean, this is goon squattery, right? Like let's, guy sent a letter. I mean, let's incompetently find him when he's out of the country. Like, I mean, obviously they're fools. And
they didn't look at his social media.
I mean, they just should have. I mean, obviously they don't know what the fuck they're doing. That might be part of the reason why they haven't deported as many people as they say they're going to. Anyway, fuck ICE. And like, if you're going to be in that business, you got to know that you're going to make people mad. As long as specific threats are wrong, illegal, don't do them. But otherwise, they should have left this guy alone.
I mean, really what this reminds me of is the Alien Sedition Act that was signed into law by John Adams, our second president. And he actually, that law, it banned criticism of Congress, the country, and the president. I mean, that's really what this kind of sounds like. I mean, of course, you have every right to be able to criticize your government. You have every right to criticize what your government does. We take that for granted now, but back in the day, that was not the case. And so, to your point, Ted, I agree. I mean, I should be able to criticize my government anytime that I want, because if you're a voter, technically you own the government. You're a shareholder in it.
They work for us.
I mean,
Correct.
obviously, in practice, that doesn't work. I mean, we're a captured oligarchy. We're not a republic.
Yes.
We haven't been for, I argue, 150 years. But that being said, if you're the boss, you have the right to criticize your employee. If you can't criticize your employee, they don't work. Your employee doesn't work for you. You work for your employee.
Agreed.
Yeah, this story was kind of ridiculous. I don't know where they're going to fall on this, what the courts are going to say, because how do you interpret? I think the line that's highlighted here is that he told the official, the ICE guy, "You will never know peace." That's the quote. How do you interpret that as a threat? I think I read it as he's like, this peacenik kind of a guy, right? That's
yeah.
Like,
well, it's vague enough that it's not a threat, right?
Right. A threat has to be clear and it's decisive action, right? Like, I'm going to do XYZ. Like I had, for example, in early Twitter, when I first went to RT, Obama was still in office and I was the White House correspondent. So I was always in front of the White House. So you can almost guess what time of day I was there, right? So a guy, a fan that apparently loved me and Barack Obama, loved us so much that he threatened on Twitter to come kill Barack Obama and then me.
Well, that's not good.
Because he loved me so much. So the FBI got involved. Went to the dude was nowhere near DC. He was like somewhere in the Midwest. It might have been Ohio, actually, Ted. He was somewhere in the Midwest, but those were deemed. I mean, you can't threaten the president, right? Even if you say you love him and you're going to kill him in the same breath, you just can't do that. So I don't, that's a threat. That was a clear threat. Like, I am going to murder you, Manila. I love you.
No, people are
insane.
People are asking about the law that I'm citing that Adam signed. So it was the Alien and Sedition Act signed in 1798. No, I was not there, but Mitch McConnell was. And so he saw it firsthand. The turtles are long lived until they're not.
That's true.
But no, I mean, he actually, it was a criminal offense to criticize the presidency, to criticize Congress, to criticize the country. They considered it an act of sedition.
But that's what England had, right? Like, you couldn't criticize like King George, or I think it was, I don't remember, but like you could literally be hanged for that.
Yeah, I mean, no, what Sneeko did, I mean, in New York, calling for the establishment of Sharia law and Islamic governance, that is sedition. Criticizing,
no,
of course,
not.
Of course it is.
What?
Of course it is.
Sedition. Define sedition for me.
Okay, so sedition is whenever you are working actively against the interests of the government for a hostile act. That is sedition. Another way you can look at it is giving aid and comfort to the enemy. The argument that Sneeko is making is because Muslims have a higher birth rate, and because we have open borders and we just import people have on average 6 kids versus the Anglosphere, which has maybe 1 if you're lucky, demographics will ensure that Islam overtakes and overwhelms the West. That's the argument the man is making, and I, for one, agree with him. Demographics is destiny. If you don't have
kids, he's allowed to make those comments too.
100%. But the line, though, that he crossed is that whenever you say we are going to replace your government with an Islamic government, we are going to abolish the republic such as it exists today, and we are going to replace it with an Islamic style of governance, and we are going to put Sharia in charge of the United States, that is sedition.
But he has no ability to do that. That's like me saying I'm going to put Clovis in charge of the U.S. government. And of course, I guess technically speaking, a Clovis-based government is a different form of government than we have now, but it's not realistic, and therefore it shouldn't be taken seriously.
Okay, so then are you denying that the bulk amount of immigration that we have coming from Asia and Africa is Islamic immigration, and that they have a higher birth rate than the native population has?
The first part I'm going to have to check out. The second part, no, I know they have a high birth rate. That's
yeah, they do.
True.
And so if you have
5 to 1.
And so if you have a elective form of government, in which case you have these things called elections, and if you're importing a massive, a whole new population with a higher birth rate, what happens with elections at that point?
So according to this, the largest overall populations of foreign-born individuals in the U.S. originate currently from Mexico, India, and China.
Yeah, but I'm talking. Yeah, but
Muslim majority nations are between have gone up from 7.3 to 15.8% of total lawful permanent residents in recent years.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons why I also brought in the birth rate, because again, if you're playing the long game, that is the way that you do it. You win through demographics. That's the argument that Sneeko is making.
Yeah, but how is it sedition to just be like, I want this country to become,
because you're talking about the replacement of the system that allowed you to come there. But for example,
but he's allowed to say that
about that. Like, it's not.
No, 100%. Now, I'm not saying that the guy should be arrested right now and charged.
Is it sedition for me to say I wish we had a communist regime instead?
Well, are you able to make that happen? Are you able to
No.
start importing millions and millions of communists to your country to overwhelm the
Neither
demographics?
can Sneeko. Sneeko isn't importing anyone, right?
No, no, I agree. Our government is, though, and that's the point that he is making.
Then I guess you can accuse our government of sedition against itself, but you can't accuse
Our government,
Sneeko of doing anything.
our government is into self-harm, Ted.
No, 100%. I mean, no, serious question. If you come from a Muslim majority country, and there's 50 of them on the on Earth, if I remember correctly, and if you want Sharia law, why would you go to the West that values liberal small L democracy, where you can walk down the street wearing Daisy Dukes and a tank top? If that's so offensive to you, then why not go to Saudi Arabia? Why not go to one of the other 49 Islamic countries that are closer culturally to you?
Detailed study of like why, of all the different motivations immigrants have to come to the United States, of which there's a huge variety. But I would imagine that not a small number of them.
Well, Islam historically,
because to get away from Sharia law and because they prefer a more liberal lifestyle. Because after all, that's what you're getting when you move here, right?
Yeah.
You're not. Most people don't move anywhere thinking like, oh, like if I were moving to France, I wouldn't be thinking, I'm going to change America to France and make it more American because I'm coming there. How could I do that? I'm one person, and why would I want to? I'd be thinking, I want to live more like the way France is than the way that America is. Yeah. So that's how they're thinking. If you're moving from Saudi Arabia to New York City, most people are thinking, oh, I want to be able to wear Daisy Dukes, and I don't really feel like praying to Mecca 4 times a day, right?
Yep. But a lot of them do, though. And no, Ted, you're a student of history. One of the tools, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, one of the tools that the Ummah used in the past, the old caliphate, they conquered through immigration. Fact check me on that.
No,
did that happen?
That is true. And
if that happens,
you can't, like, if you have a demographic change that's happening through a series of policies that are mostly run by the U.S. government, like that government can't prosecute someone for just simply saying, "Boy, I hope that the U.S. government does exactly what they're doing." I mean, it's not exactly sedition.
No, listen, I get it.
You're like, say, go team.
Listen, the argument that you're making, I agree with you. Our government actively hates the people that lives here. I've said that multiple times. They want us replaced. They want us gone. They see us as the problem. And what do we mean by us? People with traditional values, just call it that. If that's what you want, they want you gone. And they don't want to have to make the case in elections every 4 to 6 years.
See, I don't think that's true. I think that they
don't think so.
I don't think I don't believe in the replacement theory at all. I think that really what this is about, it's about fucking money. And I think the capitalists who run this country think the bigger the population there is, the more workers there are. The more workers there are, the lower wages are. That reduces my expenses as an employer. And the bigger the consumer market is, so I can sell more people my cheap shit that I'm making by paying lower wages. I think they just think bigger population means more money for me.
But with that,
and they don't care where they get those people. They don't care if they get them from Norway or from Nigeria or from Mars. They don't care.
But with automation and AI, you don't have to pay anyone anything. So then why do they still push for immigration?
Yeah, well, because it's not there yet.
It's not very far away. Hell, China's
not there yet.
It is as closer today than it was yesterday.
And once you get there, like if you got to a point where AI was able to replace, let's say, 20% of workers,
sure.
They may not be, but I think the point is that capitalism is such a greedy machine that it's always going to be looking for every thin dime of additional profits it could make, and it will always be pushing for that. And this is it's definitely about reducing the power of the American worker to go on strike, to withhold their labor.
It's also diluting the vote,
raise
right?
Wages and all that stuff, right?
It's also diluting the vote, right? Because the more people that you have, your vote is worth less as well.
Oh, and I will say this part. One thing that they do like is if you have Babel, right? If all your workers are from all over the world, from different cultures, different languages, and so on. This is totally in line with your theory, Robbie. Then it's really hard for them to organize and unify against the man, right? So it's divide and conquer by the capitalists.
Well, if you're using H-1B visas,
Wow.
you can't. If you're here on an H-1B visa, you can't protest anyway.
Right. But even if you were like a permanent resident, even if you're a citizen, and like the fact is, it's a lot harder to I know I used to be on the steering committee of the taxi drivers union, and taxi drivers in New York come from all over the world, right? And it was one of the biggest challenges were challenges of culture and language to convince everyone, hey, the bosses are screwing us, we need a raise, blah, 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 blah. It's much harder than, like, let's say everybody is from the Midwest, they're all white, they all speak English. I mean, that's easier.
They like fried pickles. Time out. Manchild and Ray, thank you guys for the donation. Ray threw in some money. He says, for Ted's microphone fund. And Manchild threw in some more money and said, you got to spend money to make money, Ted.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Nope, for sure.
Get yourself a Shure microphone.
I don't know. All I'm going to say, I'll go away because I have another show. If you want Sharia law, you have 49 other countries that you can go to. Just go there. We don't want to hear.
Yeah, but they don't. But you have to. You're making the mistake of assuming that most people who live in countries with Sharia law want Sharia law.
If you are at a parade flying Syrian flags, matter of fact, I'm going to just piss everybody off. If you're here in my country and you're flying the flag of another country, go to that country. That is insulting.
You mean like
to
the Somali flag that flew over? What was it?
The state capital in Buffalo. If that's what you want, if you're so proud to be a Somali,
maybe they just know it's a better looking flag, as Scott would say.
The point that I'm trying to make is, like, if you're there at a rally on the 4th of July, and you're saying, "Inshallah, we are going to bring Islam here. We are going to that's what we're going to have." No one's stopping you from going to the Islamic paradise from which you came from. Well, go with God.
Look,
goodbye. Don't want you here.
Enjoy. I don't support the idea of that kind of government here. However, I will support the person's ability for that kind of speech.
No, same here. But on the flip side, though, I also support closing the borders so that way you can't win through massive demographic change. Now, if Japan,
I agree with that.
Now, if we woke up tomorrow and Japan was all of a sudden 40% Kenyan, it wouldn't be Japan anymore. I mean, you laugh about it, but I mean, think about it.
I know what you. I agree.
Look at the census data. In 1950, what was the majority population in Detroit? What was it in New York? What was it in Los Angeles, where you come from? It wasn't what it is now. And so
Compton used to be white.
And so you have to ask yourself those questions. What happened? Did the American people, were we asked, do we give our consent for our populations to be replaced, and I'm using that word deliberately, by people from other parts of the world, or did it happen without our consent?
Well,
we are being invaded.
Replaced by percentage, but supplemented to in real terms, right? To be more accurate.
It's a mixed bag there.
We have a bear to talk about.
We have one last thing. And I support Robbie's right to say those things, as well as Sneeko. I don't want to live in mini Syria, like little Syria. I'm not. Hopefully, it's confined to New York, Ted. You can live in little Syria.
Hey, the food's gonna be good. Hey, can we like read about the bear?
All right, let's roll.
A brown bear wandered into a hotel in Tibet and forced its way into a locked room with 2 guests inside. So this is like Japan, where they have bear attacks all the time. Security.
What?
Oh, there are literally thousands of bear attacks in Japan every year.
In Japan?
Oh yeah, it's a huge thing.
I didn't know they had bears. Not panda,
like everywhere.
Not panda
They're running through the streets of major cities. Look it up. Security camera footage from the hotel in Nagchu shows the bear wandering down the hallway inside the building on Saturday,
right here,
and forcing it through the door into an occupied room. The guests in the room said they stared at the bear for a few seconds before it left the room of its own accord. The hotel owner used a flashlight and other tools to scare the bear and chase it out of the building. The door has since been repaired. Thank God for that. I was deeply concerned. And the hotel said it is adding additional security measures to keep bears out. Like,
Okay, I waited to watch the security
by the way,
footage.
that's like
So
a cub, isn't it?
I don't know.
I mean,
I've
it's not
never
a
met
big
a brown
bear.
bear. Wait, Robbie might know. I don't know. Is
No,
that a small brown bear? Look
Yeah,
at what? Okay,
it's young. It's like maybe 2 years old. It's not a cub. I mean,
it's an
it's an
adolescent.
adolescent. Yeah.
It's
Okay,
a rambunctious
why?
teenager.
Why? First of all, that's an interior hallway door.
Mhm.
How the hell does a freaking brown bear get inside the hallway of a hotel in Tibet?
He sure is cute, though.
I mean, a lot of places. I don't know how it is in China, but here, I mean, we had a bear 6 months ago. It was just before last winter. Went in one of our local grocery stores, went to the seafood aisle,
Oh
got
my
some
God.
fish, and walked
He's
out.
on.
And just like he knew exactly where he was going. He just went there, got what he was after, and pieced out. And people just watched him. It's like, and the tourists are freaking out. It's like, this is Montana. I mean, seriously.
I'm not standing between a bear and its salmon. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean,
No way.
they were like, "Are going to call the cops and do what? Charge it for shoplifting?"
Like,
I want to see the mugshot. Like,
I can't. I waited to watch the footage, like, so my reaction is natural. Like, it's so funny that the article mentions the hotel managed to fix the door.
yeah, the
Well,
door's been fixed, so it's cool now.
Shouldn't they given this? Shouldn't they
Time for new
reinforce the doors?
Yeah.
I don't know how you reinforce doors so they're bear proof. I
mean, these must have been kind of shitty doors. Let's face it.
I don't know. I mean, you saw that. Look, I'm going to pause it when the door comes back.
Ted, you don't
Was
understand.
this a threat? Is this a normal threat?
Ted, you don't understand how big and
That's not a
strong
small
bears
door.
are. A door is not going to stop a bear.
But this is a child bear.
You have a teenager. If he decides he wants to get a bag of chips, can you stop him? Now, now increase that mass.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I have to say. Now increase that by a factor of 6.
Right. I was
and
then
then
say 5. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's not
How
going to happen.
strong do you think an adolescent brown bear is? Like relative, like how many men? How many men would you say?
3 to 4. I mean, an adolescent bear can literally take your head off your shoulders. It can decapitate you.
Like with a swipe or like how? Gnawing it off?
Their paws, the camera's not really going to do justice, but a paw on an adolescent black bear is about yay big. It's about the size of my head. And they got claws about yay long. And this is just like 3-4 years old. So if you piss him off and he decides he's going to take care of business, he can rip your head off of your shoulders, like legitimately, and then eat you.
Well, I don't know what this dude is doing.
He's really cute though, because they are cute.
He's really cute, but holy fuck. And the couple was asleep in their bed because it was like the middle of the night.
I wonder if they were going at it. And when he walked in,
no. And maybe that's why the bear was like, oh, oops, sorry.
Yeah, my bad.
My bad. I thought this was the kitchen. Sorry. Like, what? Like, I don't know. I just thought I'd send us off the day with a WTF. What is this? A couple
of years ago, I'm trying to remember what, there's a little town outside of Missoula. There's some people camping downtown, like on the grounds of the post office. And this bear went in and killed one of the campers to get her to get her dinner.
Oh my God.
I want to say it was in Hamilton. I could be wrong about the town. I want to say it's Hamilton, Montana. But yeah, we just went there and
well, don't they say you have to put your foods like in a secure bin or something away from your tent?
You tie them up and you tie your food up in trees.
Yeah, with a rope. You know, you throw a rope over. You tie it to like a cooler.
Yeah, you hoist it up. So she had her food in her tent. The bear smelled the food.
Needed the food.
And naturally, it was a tourist from California, so nothing of value was lost. And the bear just went in and took care of her and got the dinner. And then, unfortunately, the bear was euthanized for protecting the
doing what
Republic
a bear do.
Montana. Yeah,
they're euthanized for doing what a bear do.
Well, yeah, that's sort of like the Prospect Park, Brooklyn has a zoo, the Prospect Park Zoo, and a number of years ago, I want to say like 20 years ago, couple little kids like climbed the fence in the middle of the night and got in with the bears, and what comes naturally.
Bears did what bears do.
And so one of the bears was like eating one of the kids, and the police came and shot the bear to death.
Oh my God. This story could have turned out really bad.
Angry. New Yorkers were like, that bear should not have been shot.
That bear should have been shot.
The kids climbed in there. And in this case, like, thankfully the ending was cute. The bear just was like, oh, pardon me. Sorry to interrupt. And just went about its way. So that's for a happy Tuesday.
That's a more powerful bear too, because that's a high altitude bear. That's from Tibet. So no, I mean, seriously, things that live at high altitude are very strong. Yeah. They have strong lungs.
Yeah. So this little dude, he was very polite and he was like, oh, sorry, I didn't know the room was occupied. And he left. So it was a happy ending.
He was the Berry Llama.
Yeah, he was very sweet. Yep. He popped in, was like, oh, sorry. And he left.
All right, guys.
That was the end of it. So that's the end of us.
Bye.
Adios, amigos. That was a cute story for the end of Tuesday.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you for being here. Bye.